My name is Rulan, and I am an Indigenous contemporary dance choreographer. My journey began, I had a 15-year career in US, Canada, and Europe in ballet, modern dance, opera, circus, television, and film. But separate from that, in almost a secret world, was my powwow dance, which was in the summers, in which I would be able to engage with my Native community and culture, and also teach dance out on the reservations to Native youth, to tiny young people. I wanted these worlds to somehow combine because of the richness of our Native philosophies and a form of dance that didn't exist yet, that I knew of anyways. But it wasn't the right time, there wasn't the cultural permissions. Elders didn't feel it was appropriate for all that kind of sharing for the world until later in my life, when the environmental challenges that are being faced by the world at this time have caused some of the elders to advise me which themes are the ones to be able to be shared. But first I had to go through an initiation and like a threshold, which came in the form of a battle with stage 4 cancer, in which I lost my hair and my skin and my muscles and was no longer even able to walk. So I was still alive after that, and I knew it was because I had a special purpose, something to bring to this earth that didn't exist before then. So some of my young dancers, the 5th graders, had become young adults, and there were other Native break dancers and martial artists that were coming into my life. So this dreamscape that was very potent at that sort of life and death time, I was taking these Native cultural philosophies and elements and inviting them onto these other bodies, which is actually choreography. But I was trying to do it from an Indigenous leadership perspective, so not superimposing or colonizing the bodies, minds, and spirits, but pulling out and welcoming in their intertribal perspectives and their different dance forms so that they could feel welcomed and feel confident, because that's a lot of what our Native people don't get. They don't feel welcomed into the circle. So it creates this dynamic diversity and fusion, but my goal has been always to peel beyond those forms and get to this form that is more like instinctive and intuitive. It uses the imagination to find its way into ancestral memory, and it reminds me of a term that's coined by N. Scott Momaday, the Native poet who won the Pulitzer Prize in '69. He uses the word blood memory, which really resonates a lot for us. I feel the work is like seeds of renewal, which brings us to the theme of the project that I want to bring forward to the world. It's a series of performance rituals created with communities that will be shared on a global cultural exchange basis. And it's in a response to a cultural phenomenon about healthy food, which is very popular in the USA right now, luckily for me, because I love the benefits to my health from eating well. But often Native peoples are the last to benefit from this, even though it's their culture that foreshadowed and is often the uncredited inspiration for the modern day permaculture movement, environmental movement, and the seed to table movement. But they have been removed from their original land stewardship practices, often not by choice, and it's caused detrimental effects to the health of the bodies and of the land. So I am bringing dance into its original purpose as functional ritual for transformation. This work is needed, desired, and requested throughout Indian country. I have relationships that have been built over 20 years with Native communities, including my own, in the US and Canada, in many different bioregions that I return to seasonally, like a forager. I also have requests from as far as south as Central and South America, and all the way to the Pacific Islands, from Indigenous communities to share this work in a global cultural exchange. We can't always travel that far because of funding, but the requests are there. And with each Indigenous community request, there's the surrounding non-Native communities, and we also share with them. They participate as students and as audience members, and they are frequently just struck when they see us. They realize that everything that they've learned from movies or even in school is often inaccurate, and they're seeing this authenticity of contemporary Native life for the very first time, and they hunger for more of this truth. So I create the work by, with, and for our Native communities first, because they are the ones that are the most marginalized, the lowest income, the biggest health challenges, underrepresented, misrepresented, and often culturally appropriated. So I'm bringing this work as a form of healing and of decolonization. I seek support, and I appreciate this chance to humanize and to contextualize this work. I seek support so that I can honor these participants. They are often, they're culture carriers and they're artists. They're bringing in very fine, high-level costuming and music and dancing and videography, spoken word poetry in their native languages. And I want to pay a fair living wage to be able to contribute to this process. Acknowledge them as professionals in that it's their entire lives what they're doing. And share this with these global audiences that have requested this work. So I thank you for this opportunity to try to energize this work that is being made from an Indigenous perspective. So as an artist, I recognize the Indigenous definition of artist as a healer, as a teacher and a student, mentored by the outer landscape and the inner landscape, and as a community builder, a connector, a communicator, and that shamanic ability to activate and shift energy, because all of life is energized through the animistic principle of life. Vidamnia, thank you, Miigwech.